But I want y'all to check out this video. Let's see the length that this individual went to. Uh, you know what? Let's not even talk about it. Let's go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and pull this up. This was a wild story. 4 minutes, 5 minute video. Let's dive in.
Well, a man has spent nearly 7 years in prison for faking his own death by hacking into a death registry. So the Justice Department says Jesse Kipf now took information from a protected computer system without permission in a scheme devised partly to avoid paying child support. Kipf also used the stolen credentials to hack other state death registries, government, and
This dude hacked into a government system, a death registry, to fake his death to avoid paying child support. What is y'all very first thought? I'm gonna see if y'all think. I want to see who thinks exactly like me, because I when I heard this, I had a first thought that pop. I agree. I agree. That's fair. All men don't stand on business. That's completely fair. So there are instances where it's needed, but it's a high probability to be weaponized. Too far. My first thought when I heard this, I'm like, damn, bro, you were smart enough to hack into a government's death database and fake your own death, but you weren't smart enough to figure out how to make more money to maybe catch up on your child support. Isn't that? I'm not a hacker. I probably should ask my son, because that's a whole nother story. I think I'll tell it at another time. But I'm not a hacker, but it actually takes a certain level of skill, intelligence, savviness to be able to hack into any government system. So I'm just so confused that this dude hacked into a system to fake his death to avoid paying his child support. So now taxpayers will have to support his kids and pay for his prison stay. This isn't financially responsible. I just don't. If you can hack into a government database, you can find a job doing something. So again, this is something I just dived in on. This is the first time I'm watching this video. I heard about it. It popped up on my feed, and I said, you know what? Let's pull a video up. Let's go ahead and finish up.
Also use the stolen credentials to hack other state death registries, government and corporate networks, as well as those of private businesses. And he pleaded guilty to computer fraud and aggravated identity theft. But Chief Legal Analyst Kipf Rose joins us to be able to talk about this. I did some research on this. His child support was more than $100,000. Okay. He also completed a Hawaiian death certificate to be able to do all this. I mean, Khalif, this guy went to great lengths and now finds himself in a lot of trouble.
I've run into a lot of deadbeats over my time, but I guess they weren't doing it right. This is absolutely the best example of being a deadbeat that you could think of. I mean, He didn't want to just not pay. He just didn't want to owe it anymore. He wanted the computer to completely wipe
it out,
his name out of the system. I mean, how do you take a doctor's information, go in there, write your own cause of death, sign it as if you're the doctor, and then start, filing and then selling it to other people? So how he got caught was he was on the dark web actually attempting to sell access to this computer so other people could do the same thing. I mean, you can't make this up. This is extremely confusing. And the crazy part, it's not him being
I'm about to choke, man. I didn't, my bad. I know y'all like, we ain't here to see you drink water. Hey, that's crazy. I didn't watch the video, so I just kind of read about it, and I was like, oh, this will be interesting to talk about. But that's wild. He was on the dark web trying to sell his evil plan so other people can learn how to avoid child support. Yeah, this dude, that's crazy. That's crazy. But it also shows that, like, $100,000, you definitely had a skill set where you can make some money. Like, the fact that you did all of that, like, just hacking the system itself, and actually, like, isn't that getting on the dark web actually takes a little savviness, because most times you got to do it by invite. He should have hacked his debt out. That's smart. Like, yeah, you could. It's a multitude of ways he could have approached this. Instead of faking his death, he could have erased the debt. That's what he could have hacked into a bank and gave himself some money to pay the debt. I mean, it was a lot of ways. I think he took the most complicated road. Over here we condone abiding by the law, but there were a lot of other ways that he probably could have did that. That's hilarious. Yeah, if his child support was 100,000, he had to be making almost a million. Well, it depends because you can have two kids. You can have two kids, and if you go I mean, some people don't pay child support like ever. They just want it forever. I've seen like couples who were married. Couples would be married. They would get a divorce when the children are young. Husband never pays child support, and for one child, he run up a $80,000 arrears, and to settle it, he essentially signs over his interest in the home. So it's possible to run up $100,000. For one child would be probably difficult, but if you have a couple of children out there, I don't know if it was one child. Maybe they're gonna let us know. But this dude, that was a wild plan. I want to rewind that back a little bit if anybody just joined in. But that was wild.
Filing and then selling it to other people. So how he got caught was he was on the dark web actually attempting to sell access to this computer so other people could do the same thing. I mean, you can't make this up. This is extremely confusing. And the crazy part, it's not him being charged for faking his own death. It's him being charged because he accessed those government computers. That's the problem. You accessing government computers and doing fraudulent activities, that will get you every time.
I mean, two separate things. You're right, because one, it's the crime, but two, it's also just being trifling. It's like when you think about it, it's like child support. How does your child feel that you're doing all this? That's one. But let's get to the actual crime itself.
Yeah,
I also did find out that when you look at the damage to the state death registry systems, including the $80,000 just to repair everything,
Yep.
I mean, those fees add up.
They add up. I mean, so obviously he'll have to, on top of his child support that he's not paying, he'll have to pay restitution to the state for the damage that he created. But I mean, there are folks out here that will try to do anything to avoid taking care of their responsibility. I mean, and so whatever the amount was, $100,000, over time, it wasn't a $100,000 lump sum, and now you'll be removed from society for 6-7 years. That's a problem. I mean, all you had to do was pay.
Right.
And even if you didn't pay, there was a lengthy process to avoid paying, going to court, being hauled in, showing up for show calls. I mean, there were a number of processes that he could have went. Not this route. This route, when you're accessing government computers, you can guarantee they're going to lay the law down on you heavy because you don't want to show that we're light on crime. And in situations like this, we want to show a deterrent. Anytime you're talking about the criminal justice system, it's like that rehabilitative part that we talk about. Want to rehabilitate the criminal, but we also want to deter future actions like this from happening again. Well, how do you deter someone from trying to hack into a system? Slamming a 7-year sentence on someone that doesn't would be a quick way to deter. And say when you're Googling how to access these computers, his story pops up as one of the main things to say, I'm not doing that.
But it also makes you think, for somebody to have that kind of intelligence, there's so many other things you can do to be able to get money to pay your child support.
Definitely not using his brain to his full capacity, because if you can hack a computer, I wouldn't even know where to start. And I feel like I'm extremely intelligent, but this guy figured out how to get on the system,
government
and fake his own death. I mean, by all means, probably one of the top dumbest crimes I've seen. Pretty much. There's a lot of ways that you can go to prison. This is not one of them. I mean, for sure.
I also have to emphasize, though, this is also a big reminder of how damaging criminals with computers can actually be, because there is a lot of fallout from this, a lot of information that now is out there, a lot of concern, right?
But what I can also tell you is that anytime you do these types of crimes, just like with my criminal cases that I have, you leave breadcrumbs behind. And so when you access this computer, your digital fingerprint will be all over that. And so they just work backwards. I mean, even if you attempt to reroute your way you got in by using multiple VPNs, he got caught because he used an actual living doctor's information, and using that living doctor's information, they were like, wait, this isn't you because you're in Hawaii. This other doctor's on the East Coast.
Right.
Something's not working out. And so even if you think you're the smartest person in the room, most of the time they got folks that are doing this for a living that try to catch you. And so, well, the one thing about technology is once the criminals figure out how to do something, law enforcement is right behind them.
Right.
And so I am glad that they caught him, because now, like you mentioned, that child hopefully will get some type of payment once this guy's out of jail.
We also think too of the crime.
Yeah, that's how they gonna get that.
You know, they don't see your daddy.
That
right?
Somehow that part is accurate.
All right, College Rose, appreciate it.
That's crazy as hell. That story crazy as hell. I mean, I don't know. I do think you're right though. I think it was definitely probably back paid how it ran up to $100,000. I don't think this guy was like a multi-millionaire. It just probably was back paid. It just accumulated over time. Let's see, Mr. Warbucks. Most men worry more about the quality of the woman that the woman is getting rather than paying it. Yeah, I see that too. because I don't know, like child support is just a tough is a tough thing, like especially like it's you and then it gets complicated if like you got a child with a woman who has multiple children and you're sending money to her for your child and it's getting split amongst other kids that aren't your children. Like, and I could see why that would be upsetting if it were me. I'd be like, oh hell nah. Like, I'll be honest. Like, like no, if I had a child with a woman and she had multiple kids with somebody else, my child support presumably is for my child, not all them other kids. Why? But I see that all the time. The responsible father is the one who kind of gets beat over the head because the other ones may not be responsible. It's a child support is a sticky situation. I just like, I don't know. Like I'm just grateful that I'm not in that situation. Again, I did do a video on how to decrease your child support, not for deadbeats trying to avoid it, but for people to make sure that they're actually paying what they're required to pay under the law and not anything more. He was a criminal genius and an idiot. It's like maybe when he get out of jail, the child could get some child support. Bruh, go off for 7 years. That's absolutely insane. Yeah, but still no excuse not to handle your business. Yeah. Like I don't understand. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like it is some things in child support that's wild. Like I always tell the story. I told it before this channel. Like I can remember when I was younger, and my parents got divorced. And my father was like, man, I'm not no, if you need money, I just pay you some money. I'm not going down there to the courthouse to pay my money to the white man. Now, this is where it get funny. My father was a big rig truck driver, and my mother ended up going through putting him on child support. He would give her money, but she was like, no, I don't know if she wanted more, whatever the situation was. But she put him on child support. As soon as that notice came to his house, he was like, well, guess I got to go down to the courthouse and pay the white man. Because they would take your license. Like, how crazy is that? If a person is a truck driver and they're paying something, let's say your child support was $700 a month, but you're paying $400 a month. That arrears and back pay can get so large that now they're like, oh, your arrears are so large and you can't pay, you're only paying partial on it. Like I've seen people who were truck drivers like get their license suspended for back child support. Now they actually can't go to work. It's a weird ass system. I just don't understand it. I do agree that hey, you should take care of your responsibilities. Nobody should probably have to fucking force you to do it, but it's just a wild situation. Yeah, it shows that your personal information is not safe with the child support people. I agree with that 100%. Just be careful who you have kids with. That's the that's one of the most important things that you can do. Who you marry and who you decide to have children with are probably the biggest financial decisions that you'll ever make.